research paper. Okay. So there are basically 3 sections in the research paper, okay? 3 sections for chapter 5 research, the chapter 5 of your research paper. So the first one is a summary, okay? This is where you will answer your research question in a short paragraph, in a very summarized, concise manner. You will answer your research question. You can actually restate the aim of your study again and what method you use to achieve it, and then what is the aim, which is to examine and to answer research question 1 and 2, which is the relationship and also the impacts or the effects. Okay, so you can write a summary of the discussion in short paragraphs of what you found and answer your research question. Okay, so this is how you actually answer it. Some of the starters will be, this study has identified, this study has shown that, the research has also shown that, the second major finding was that, these experiments confirm that. Okay, so you can use the following one of these phrases to start your summary. Okay, I will show you an example now. Okay, so summary, can you see? You can differentiate them into 2, you can separate them into 2 paragraphs. Okay, the first paragraph to answer the first research question, and the second paragraph to answer the second research question. Okay, so the first research question in response to the first research question of this study, which is what is the relationship of cell phone use and students' academic achievement, the result shows that there is an unfavorable relationship between cell phone usage and students' academic accomplishment. Based on Pearson's correlation coefficient scale, moderate negative relationship is found. So you answer this and tell what does it mean. This means that students spend more time on their phones, they are more likely to worsen their academic performance. Okay, so the more time you spend, the more the worse you will perform academically. Okay, so this is what the findings of your research was. Okay, this is to answer the first research question, which is about relationship. Okay, you don't have to specifically use Pearson's correlation coefficient, but if you want to, it's up to you. Okay, so the next one is the next paragraph. You will be answering the second research question. What are the impacts of cell phone use on students' academic achievement? So this finding of the study shows that the effects vary according to the purpose of cell phone use. Okay, cell phones such as calling, texting are found to have adverse effects, and on the contrary, mobile devices for academics such as researching are found to be beneficial. So what does this mean? Different type of will affect students' accomplishment differently. So overall, the findings discovered to be consistent with many past studies. So the first section is a summary. You answer both the research questions in a very summarized, concise version, and you tell your audience what does this mean. All right. The second section is limitations. So the limitations refers to some of the difficulties, challenges, and shortcomings of your research paper. So what are some of the things that you feel is lacking in your research that you could have done better? Probably the sample size of 50 is too small. Probably 200 will be better, so that it can be able to generalize the entire population. Maybe some parts it would be better if you conducted a mixed method research, so that you can obtain and collect data via interviews. So that will be better for you, for your research. So the data that you find is more credible. So you need to see what are the shortcomings, challenges, difficulties. So this is what you're going to write in this section 2. Okay, so there are 3 sections. The first one, summary. Second one is limitations, the shortcomings, the challenges, the difficulties. Okay, and then I show you an example, limitation. So he has, I think, 3 limitations. Firstly is a small sample size. He thinks 52 is too small. The second one is that all the students are from Sunway College. It's only one university. He thought that it would be better if we have other university students as well. And then finally, he thinks that there should be in-depth interviews done, not only survey questionnaire, because this is a self-reported questionnaire. So the participants are reporting it themselves. So sometimes some people might just answer for the sake of answering. It might not be accurate, and sometimes people just cincai bantai only. So he thinks that this is not good enough. So that is why he thinks the validity of his data is uncertain. So these are the shortcomings, the drawbacks of your research paper. Okay, so first one is summary, answering the research questions. The second one is limitations, some of the drawbacks of your research paper. And finally, the third section is recommendations. What do you recommend future researchers to do? Suggestions for future research. So what can they do about the problems that you have listed earlier on? For example, sample size, expand age or criteria. Probably you can get the future researchers to do a similar research but have more participants. Maybe if you are able to get 1,000 participants, then your data will be more accurate. Okay, and then perhaps we also want to expand to other age group, for example, high school students or even primary school students. Okay, so probably you want to focus on different areas as well. Okay, so for example, mobile phone usage and future research of this should expand sample size, number one. Must go for different age groups, for example, high school students. And finally, the research should also be carried out on mobile phone usage and students' memory retention. Okay, how well students can recall things. Okay, so he has suggested future research to look into these three areas. Okay, so perhaps people who have read his research, interested in his research, would want to conduct another study on students' memory retention and cell phone usage and memory retention instead of just overall academic performance. So these are the recommendations. If you look at his paper, you will see 4 sections. One is I think what there was one section I cannot remember that I've taken it out because it's very much similar to implications. I took out implications because it's quite similar to significance of the study. So I leave only 3 sections in the chapter 5 conclusion writing. So the first section is summary, second section is limitations, then the third section is recommendations. So in brief, you only need 3 sections in chapter 5. Summary, where you answer research questions. Limitations, you describe and you state the drawbacks, shortcomings of your research. And section 3 is recommendation. What do you recommend future researchers to look into, and so on and so forth. So 3 areas in chapter 5, which is conclusion writing. Okay, if you look at